Okay, I'm back. All I did off camera was braid a little. What I'm doing here is actually very dangerous. That was a diamond. And I'm just, without supporting it very well, I just whack it on that diamond. But it's partially a matter of experience with what it takes as far as support with indirect. Which isn't nearly as much. Some of these are going in here and hinging, but this is all thick anyway, so I got to come back from the other way to get some of that stuff fixed, so I'm not concerned about it. I do need this weight off the end. I think I'll take a shot in on the end here. But you got to be semi-careful when you're, especially when you're doing this with a big slow hit as opposed to a smaller, faster one. I'm trying to get very little bite, but the shots are still working. I mean, they're going in, they're doing something. I'm just taking very little bite with them. The bigger the bite you put, the more bending force downward on the hit. But one of the reasons you want to do all that is because, I mean, you're looking at your balance and you're like, well, if the end isn't straight and kind of like it's gonna be, then when I start lining stuff up to see if it all balances, then I'm not looking at it right. Let me put this down a minute. I find if I leave my forearm on my leg and just use my wrist sometimes for the little fine work, it's accurate and importantly, it keeps me from reaching too far and catching too much of it. All right, now, opportunistically, I don't want to turn all this, you know, you say, well, turn this all down and come back the other way. Well, wait a minute. That's fine, but right here, I have a platform that's low enough and I've got a little thickness here. So if I turn all this, I'm wasting that. I don't want to waste that. I want to go ahead and hit that one. When you want to, you know, when you want to save. and I didn't hit it with a big enough percussor. So now, since I messed up, I'm going to adjust things. So I didn't hit it enough there and did something, so I'm going to come over here and hit back at an oblique angle, and with a larger antler. First I'm going to hit over here, which will isolate it. Well, it kind of went into it. I'm going to leave that for now because I don't need to deal with that right now. I've got to go in closer anyway. I'm nowhere near my final dimensions on this. So when you have little things, don't keep picking at them. Stop and ask yourself, wait a minute, do I need to be picking at this now? Or can I just come back later? And deal with it. That was a freaking big flake. I had that angle really dug in on it trying to do something. And it did, and that one did too. Some huge flakes from a 1/4 inch copper bit. But I'm not angling every one of them the same. Okay, so far you can see I've kept a lot of the length, I've kept a fair amount of the width, but what I haven't done is gotten near enough of the thickness off. And this is a knife, not a sausage. So we don't want to leave it a sausage. I'm looking down on it and paying a lot of attention to where the thicknesses are. And it's kind of misleading if you're not careful, because you notice the edges, and the edges are obviously a lot thinner than the middle, and it's the middle that you're sort of worried about. I'm worried about the middle and getting it lined up and thin, because I can always line the edges up at the end, but I can't line the middle up at the end, because once I get it thin enough and light enough, or narrow, if I get it narrow and light, then I lose my ability to get it thin and light as easily. Dang. That was a good flake. I'm supporting it tighter on the back edge of the punch and on the back edge of the workpiece to try and make sure that these flakes are doing their job for these few. I mean, I ought to be doing that on all of them, right? Now see, this end is pretty thin now and still wide. The tip isn't horrible. There's still plenty of thickness in here that needs to go. I don't want all my ridges gone. I just am trying to get things lined up a little bit. But I'm definitely not trying to finish the edges. I still need my edges. And I'm not trying to make a saber either, it just is how it ended up. I'm coming on in on this because yeah, I'm just turning this and coming over with it because I don't need it this wide anyway. When you got a strong rolled area on a delta, that's when I put my finger underneath it. but sometimes I have to tap a little harder to get those off, and I don't want to put that much downward force on it. All right.